What is happening, everybody? It's your buddy Aaron. Welcome back to another G35 video, and I'm going to be answering that famous how much did this entire build cost me question as far as the Exedy twin turbo fully built G35. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and cut off a chunk of my bumper. Alright dudes, we just cut out our freaking diffuser, because who needs that, you know what I'm saying? Now it was actually like melting all over my exhaust, so you can see my poor Exedy muffler has been destroyed, but pretty much ever since the whole compound visit and we tweaked something when we skateboard slid on the road, this thing has been bent and kind of rubbing up against that diffuser. And on my last G35 before it crashed, RIP GG 1.0, I actually cut out the diffuser and it looked really nice, so I decided to just go ahead and do it again. And you can see the exhaust sticking out pretty good, pretty cool right there. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Dremel to get everything cleaned up right here so that all these sharp edges are gone. It'll be nice and smooth. And you know, just look a little bit better. Not gonna lie guys, I like the look of the rear diffuser deleted. Went ahead and smoothed everything out. Looks pretty cool. There was a kid who actually hit me up on Instagram. He's like, yeah bro, I did the same thing. I actually cut the sides of mine too, which I'm thinking about doing, but honestly, I mean, this bumper is so beat, I might just leave it the way it is. Like, look at this nasty shit. Bodywork is gonna be a little ways away from now because I want to get her running really good. That's pretty much what I'm investing all of my time and money into, is this motherfucker right here, getting it running real good, and she's been running awesome. Got about 450 miles broken in on her right now. And my tune date is gonna be on the 23rd of September, so I'm super excited. Can't wait to go ahead and get this thing tuned, and we're gonna just, you know, double the horsepower, no big deal. Now, but my goal is it's 600 horsepower. That is my goal. Hopefully we can hit, you know, around there, a little bit more, a little bit less, whatever, but I want it to be a nice safe 600 because the engine is built for a safe 650, so I want to just go a little bit under that and you know, max out as far as being safe and whatnot. I got this freaking heart monitor thing on me right now. I don't know if you guys can see it. They're like checking me for high blood pressure and some abnormal shit because I've been not feeling like too great, so yeah, whatever. Things like falling off of me, so if you see me like touching my titties, I swear I'm not rubbing it for you guys. Okay, so we're about to get to the breakdown. Now, there's a lot of reasons why we spend a lot of money on our car. It could just be because it's just what we do, it's what we love to do, or just maybe we're just making up for other things. Like, I could be doing a shit ton of drugs or a bunch of bad things, but instead, I'm spending all my fucking money and my time on my Infiniti G35. So if those of you aren't like me, you aren't crazy car guys, or really super duper interested in shit like this, or spending all of your fucking money on shit like this, or if you just got some more responsibilities, like I'm single, I have no kids, this is just what I do, it's what I love to do, and I'm gonna just keep doing it. So if you guys are not like me, then you're probably gonna look at this number and be like, what the fuck, dude, you're insane, why would you spend so much money? And the answer is because I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get straight into the breakdown, every little detail of what I spent, how much I spent on each item, and what the total number is as far as engine mods and getting the whole twin turbo build ready to rock. One of the #1 most important things that I think is the most important as far as boosting your G35 or really any DE motor is building the internals of the block. A lot of people do end up boosting the stock block, which you can. You can get away with 400, 450 wheel horsepower even on a stock boosted DE. Now I decided I wanted to go ahead and build the internals because I wanted more than just 400. I was getting about 310 just with my NA, and if I was gonna go through all of the hard work of installing a turbo kit, I would at least want more than 400, 450 horsepower. So my horsepower goals are about 600, and this is what I went with. As far as a short block, I was thinking about building it all myself and doing it all myself, saving more money that way. They got a stage 3 kit on Z1 Motorsports for a Eagle rods and Wiseco pistons and all the studs and everything that you pretty much need to do your own rebuilds. The thing about me is I had already rod knocked my last engine to no return. I've already tried to fix it as far as installing new rod bearings and seeing where it went from that. It lasted 15 freaking minutes before the rod knock came back and spun another bearing. That's because my crankshaft itself was not polished correctly. There was more lines and digs into where the polished surface of the crankshaft should be that pretty much rides up against the main rod bearings and the main bearings. So with that being said, I would have had to gotten a new crank, got it balanced, double check the clearances of all the new bearings that were going to go in, and I just wasn't prepared for all of that work, especially if I was going to run high horsepower and something just ended up happening, going wrong with internals because of something that I did. So I decided to spend the extra dollar and go through Import Parts Pro and get a stage 1 short block built for my G35. The short block itself is normally $4,500. He gave me a deal $4,250 shipped to my door, full complete short block, and that comes with Eagle rods, Wiseco pistons, ARP rod bolts, completely decked. It was bored and honed with a torque plate. Water passages were cut for HR gaskets if you want to put HR heads on there. The rotating assembly was balanced. The crank itself was magnafluxed and the journals were micro polished. They also moly coated the race spec main and rod bearings that were installed, and it was also all pre-assembled and tested and pre-lubed and ready to go. So that saved me a lot of nervousness, a lot of anxiety and time of building my own short block and just praying that nothing happens. It also comes with a 1-year warranty, and I'm super stoked that they hooked me up with a little bit of a discount as they sent it over to me. It's really not much of a discount because I did end up sending my core back, which they would normally give you a $750 charge back for your core, but they only gave me a $500 charge back for the core because I ended up sending it back to them when I thought I was just gonna buy a block outright from them and keep my current rod knock block, but ended up sending it back to them. Shipping alone was $300, so I just got $150 back on the whole thing, meaning that I spent $4,100 just on the short block alone, shipped to my door, ready to go with the 1-year warranty. So shout out to Import Parts Pro. Thank you guys so much for all of your help, and you guys, your turnaround time was awesome. It took about 4 to 5 weeks, and you guys were right on point. It showed up on my doorstep about 4.5 weeks in, so shout out to you guys. So already starting to build at $4,100. Of course, the next biggest most expensive thing was going to be the turbo kit itself. Now there's a lot of turbo kits out there, and I found this Exedy twin turbo kit with the 18G turbos for a really good deal. This is a almost $11,000 kit new, and I got super lucky with it. It was the turbos were already rebuilt and the manifolds were already welded because they did crack before, which they're known to crack. It happens over thousands of temperature changes as you're turning on the car, turning off the car. You know, over time they do tend to crack. So it was already welded, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm happy that they were already welded. Went ahead and wrapped it up, installed it. Everything is cool, good to go, no leaks. Gaskets and everything are good. But the Exedy twin turbo kit with the oil cooler costed me $3,500 from a good man out in Texas. His name is Slava. Thank you so much, Slava. I really, or Slava. I'm not sorry if I'm butchering your name, bro. I'm sorry, but I've been texting him back and forth because he's like super stoked to see this kit on another G. He was gonna put it on his car, but ended up things happened, things changed, and he went ahead and sold it. And I picked it up for a really good deal. So shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for the kit. It's in great condition, and I'm super happy with it. So $3,500 for the twin turbo kit. Next thing that was the third most expensive, of course, was gonna be the cams for the heads. So I got the JWT S7 cams for the heads, and I also went with the valve springs and shim kit from JWT. The cams are $1,189. And the valve spring and shim kit is $229, but Enjuku Racing hooked me up with a discount. I reached out to them, asked them for it, and they delivered. They were awesome. They gave me everything for $1,300 shipped. So super stoked on that. Thank you, Enjuku, for helping me out with that. While we're still talking about the heads, I got the Tomei Head Gaskets. They're a little bit thicker. They're pretty good for boosted applications. Those were $180. So Tomei Head Gaskets. Also got the ARP Head Studs for $225.55, and the buckets to fix my valve clearance way back on the NA build. So that cost me about $325 to fix all of the valve clearance. To make sure everything was good as far as the clearance between the cam and the valve buckets. So valve clearance is on point. The last thing I wanted to do for my heads was get them all cleaned up, double check the clearance after we got rod knock, and make sure that all the cam journals and everything were polished, so that there's no marks or anything from whatever metal shavings were in there from the previous rod knock short block. So I took my heads over to Cylinder Head Depot and they went ahead and fully cleaned them. They polished them, they redecked them for me, and that cost me about $550 for them to do all of that, and they came back looking almost brand new. Next thing down, I went ahead and got a brand new Revup Oil Pump because I didn't want my old oil pump in case there was any metal shards in there. I did not want that touching this new short block, so got a new Revup Oil Pump. A lot of people say get the billet internals for the oil pump, and that's something that I had already put the engine together before I learned about, so I'm hoping that this Revup Oil Pump will do me good for the power that I'm going for, like I said earlier, which would be 600 horsepower. Also, as far as the short block, we went with a Dynasty billet main girdle. The girdle pretty much strengthens up the crank, and usually like the stock girdle can hold up to about 800 horsepower before it starts to warp, but I went ahead with the billet main girdle because I just wanted a little bit extra safety as far as reaching those higher horsepower numbers, so I went ahead and got that billet girdle installed there. That was $299. Next thing, when you're going boosted, you want to have more oil capacity, and I already have the Exedy lower oil pan, which already opens up maybe about an extra quart of oil, maybe a little bit less, because it still looks fairly the same size. It just has those oil feed ports for the turbos, but it is a little bit wider. So the Exedy oil pan actually came with the kit, turbo kit, but I also got an oil pan spacer to add an extra quart of oil to my entire tank. So it takes about 7 to 7.5 quarts of oil for the entire engine, as far as the oil cooler lines, the turbo lines, the new space with the Exedy oil pan and the oil pan spacer. Oil pan spacer from Z1 was $98 without any turbo feed holes drilled, because the Exedy one already came drilled, so that was good. So then from Rockauto, I went ahead and got the full engine reseal kit. This comes with pretty much every seal that you're gonna need, as far as front and rear main seals, crankshaft seal, even all of the water port gaskets. All of those seals. The only thing it was missing, like it even came with head gaskets and valve spring seals and all that stuff. The only thing it was missing was the front VTC cover seals, which I picked up from Nissan. I got an employee price, so that wasn't too expensive for me. So the full engine reseal kit was $134.99. The next thing, as far as engine components, I went and picked up the Exedy Carbon D clutch twin disc kit from my buddy Matt. Now, he was selling it used, and the discs were in great shape. They weren't burnt or anything. I think they were only used for a couple thousand miles, but they were in great shape. It's normally a $3,000 clutch kit. I got it for 900 bucks. Shout out to you, Matt. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Came in clutch with that. It's also rated for about 516 foot-pounds of torque, which is exactly what we're going to be needing as far as our twin turbo build. When it comes to torque, now I'm sure since that's what it's rated for, I could go a little bit over it without anything happening, so I'm pretty stoked about that. The last clutch I had was rated for only about 400, and it ended up selling that to one of my boys. Next thing down the line, I got the 1050cc Injector Dynamics fuel injectors. These were about $852, about $780 without the adapters for the G35 plugs, but I got the adapters, so it came out to about $852 with the adapters, all 6 injectors, 1050cc. Pretty stoked about that. They're a little expensive, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? Got all the fluids as far as transmission fluid, oil, filters, things like that, power steering fluid for about 118 bucks all around. I got some fluid from Nissan, got some fluid from AutoZone, so about $118.50. Then some miscellaneous bolts, like the flywheel bolts that I wanted to get, some extra hardware that I wanted to get, some bolts breaking during the whole thing, about 35 bucks for that, not too bad. So now we're gonna be reaching the total engine components to build like the whole thing with the kit, the engine, just the engine alone, $12,848.01. I'm looking at this number, I'm like, fucking shit. And a lot of people are like, yo, you spent so much money on the whole thing, like, and that's not even it, because I still got the fuel return and all that stuff, but you spent so much money on the whole thing, like, is it really worth it? You could have went 2J, you could have went HR, VR30 swap. Shout out to Nor TM, because he pretty much got like a free VR30 swap out for his 370Z when it comes to selling all his old mods and getting that new motor for a really good deal. Man, killed it, so good job on that. But yeah, guys, about $12,848 deep as far as engine components. We're not done yet. So with any high horsepower turbo build, you're gonna want a fuel return system, new regulator, and new fuel pump, things like that. So I got the CJM S0 fuel return kit. It comes with a new regulator, all the lines that you need pretty much, and it is expensive. I could have definitely went cheaper if I wanted to build the kit myself. I could have got my own regulator, got my own lines, got my own fittings. But this kit was just super easy to install. Everything that you needed was there, and it was $449.95 for the fuel return kit. Then we got the Uprev GT MAF, or MAF GT, whatever. It's $350 off of Z1 Motorsports. That pretty much reads more airflow that'll be coming in, and it just reads more air compared to your stock mass airflow sensor. So definitely needed when you're going boost, whether it be supercharger or turbo. Then of course we got our gauges. I only got 2 gauges. One of them is pretty much like an all-in-one AFR gauge, boost controller. That is the Innovate. I think it's the SCP-001, don't quote me, I'll put it right here. But that was $325, I got it on eBay. It was about $450 on Z1, so I saved some money getting it through eBay. And same warranty and everything applies on it. It was a brand new kit. It comes with a boost solenoid, and it comes with the AFR sensor, and the gauge itself is a boost controller. So makes it real easy when adjusting your boost and checking your AFRs and checking how much pounds of boost you're making. I'm super happy with that gauge. I also went ahead and got a cheaper Phantom oil pressure gauge just so I can see my oil pressure. You 350Z guys are super lucky because OEM, it comes with a nice little oil pressure gauge right there on the dash with the 3-gauge cluster that it comes with stock. But the G35s don't come with that, so I went ahead and got that just to monitor my oil pressure, make sure I'm always getting pressure. In case anything happens, something breaks and oil's lost, I can actually catch it before any damage is done to the motor. The one thing that I do want to get in the future is going to be an oil temp sensor though, which I think Phantom sells one of those too. I might want to get that, but I'm not too sure because all I have is a double gauge pod in my car, and I don't really want to put another gauge in there. So what I might do is use the digital gauge that tells you the outside temperature, which the sensor is actually located right up at the front, right underneath the bumper here. I don't know if you guys can see, no, it's out of frame, but there's a sensor right there, right above my intercooler that detects the outside temperature, and it shows it on the little digital cluster where the infinity clock is. And I was thinking about rewiring those wires that go to that sensor to a new oil temp sensor that will plug in somewhere where my plumbing is as far as oil. So this way I'll know what my oil temperature is, and I won't have to add a new gauge. So maybe I can work that out in the future. That would be pretty cool. Phantom oil pressure gauge, $82. Then I got a little $12 gauge pod, that little one that I just went ahead and fabricated, put it right there where my little cubby used to be. For some of you G35s out there that have the navigation LCD screen will be in there. But for me it was really easy because it was just a little open cubby. I just removed the lid and put my gauge pods in there. I fabricated some nice sheet metal, painted it black as my base to put the pod on, and everything fit perfectly. Everything's looking good, and I like it. I'm proud of what I did. So that was $12 off of eBay. Went ahead and got a Nissan brake booster check valve for $22.31 off of Z1 Motorsports, so I can put that in the brake booster so we can have some nice brake boosting, as well as a couple extra brake pedal pumps once the car is off. Last but not least, we got my fuel pump. I got the Walbro 485 E85 compatible fuel pump for $125.84. And now for the grand total of this whole build, as far as engine, pods, boost solenoids, things like that. This is not including like all the suspension, wheels, and tires that I have on there, Akebono brakes, all that extra shit. This has nothing to do with that. This is just strictly for twin turbo in your G35. The total I spent came to $14,215.11. I probably could have 2JZ'd my car twice. No, but I mean, in all honesty, if you're gonna motor swap a car and you're trying to go all this extra route as far as fuel return and this and that, you probably would end up spending the same amount, especially if I was gonna build a 2JZ and do all this extra stuff. I'm still gonna need the gauges, the fuel return, all that stuff. And you know what I mean? I just unfortunately fell in love with a stupid ass DE, and yeah. No, but really, when it comes to motor swapping, there's still so much other things that you got to take into account, like the ECU, the harness, the cluster, all that stuff is going to be extra costs that you got to factor in. Now, 14 grand is a lot to play with. It's a lot to weigh things out and price it out, and there's so many other ways that you could have saved money. Like if I would have built my own Shortblock, or if I would have built my own fuel return kit, and things like that, I could have saved money on. But I wanted it to be less of a hassle. I wanted things to have warranty on it, and I wanted to do it the right way, especially when it comes to my first twin turbo build ever. So yeah guys, I did it for me and I did it for you guys because I just wanted to see what it would be like to have a twin turbo car, and I don't even know if it's, I mean honestly at this point yes, I would definitely say that it's worth it. I'm just happy to be driving this car again and hearing those turbo yo, the turbo sounds fucking amazing. I love it. And seeing people's reaction when they see that big ass intercooler on the front, like while I'm driving, it's crazy. Like 2 days ago I was actually at Publix and I saw this Karen. I was just pulling up at the stop sign and I was like, oh yeah, you can go. Like I was letting her go. I stopped at the stop sign. She was like stopped in the middle of the road walking from Publix. She's like looking at me like, and I'm like, yeah, you can go, no problem. I'm sitting there, I'm waiting, and she just starts walking and she's just like looking at my car like the whole time. So look at her, I'm like, what? And she just looks at me and looks forward and just keeps walking. And I'm like, bro, like, why you gotta give me a stank ass look just because my car is loud? Like, this is what I do, this is what I love. Can you just let me do my thing? Like, you're gonna go home and feed your fucking 20 cats, like whatever. Shout out to a bunch of you guys that were mentioning how much, or trying to guess how much it cost me as far as this whole build. Some people said 20K, 25K, some people were like, oh, 8K or 12K. And then there's one dude who was right on point. He's like, oh, I'm gonna say about 14K. Yeah, buddy, right about there, 14K. So with all that said, I am super broke now. So if you guys would like to help a brother out and go to AASupply.com and purchase some merch, you guys can help a brother out and get back on his feet for being very irresponsible and spending way too much money on his stupid ass car. No guys, I'm super happy that I did it. It was an amazing learning experience, and I just can't wait for that tune day. I'm counting it down. 9 days, almost 8 days left until I can get it tuned. Stay tuned, the 23rd is when I'm gonna get it tuned. I'm gonna be live streaming it on my Instagram. So make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, AG35. You guys can watch that live stream on the 23rd. And then we're gonna have an amazing video coming after that and some crazy content because I'm taking 3 days off of work. I'm heading out to Orlando. So we're gonna be hitting Tampa to get it tuned. I'm going out to Orlando to race some go-karts, gonna have some fun with that. And maybe we'll be able to hit the track on our way back and see what the car can do as far as a quarter mile. I just gotta figure out the whole helmet situation. I can't even afford a fucking helmet right now, so. Yeah, if you guys got a helmet, let me know. DM me, I'll come and pick that shit up. No, but really guys, I'm super stoked. I can't wait to film my reaction and other people's reaction driving the G35. I'm gonna be so scared of this thing when it's ready, but I can't wait now. So I'm glad that it took me about 3 to 4 weeks before I go and get it tuned, because I can work out all of the kinks and all of the issues that I've been having in the G35 before I took it there and really pushed it to get the max horsepower. I fixed all of my coolant leaks, I fixed all of my oil leaks. It is super clean now. I'm so stoked. Car is running amazing, and I can't wait. I just can't wait, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and put that TVW splash shield underneath. I'm gonna do another oil change, and she's pretty much ready to go. Oh, last mod I gotta do. The last mod I have to do is adding a fuel pump relay. I don't really need it, but I'm gonna do it just in case. I don't wanna max out the power on my bigger fuel pump because right now it's just wired up to the stock harness in the car. So I wanna wire up a new fuel pump relay. So I'm gonna show you guys that in one of the next couple of videos, but stay tuned. Got some crazy ass content coming for you guys, some super awesome videos, and I'm super stoked. We're gonna be finally having some fun with this car. And yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your love. You guys left so much love on last video. Thank you for all the questions. I'm super happy to do the Q&A, and I'm pretty stoked on getting this video out there too. Always appreciate you guys commenting and liking. Please smash that like button and let me know what horsepower number we're gonna hit as far as it coming to the tune. Let me know down in the comments, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.